I just want to thank all of you for coming out here to Washington to make sure that this voice is heard. That we've had a very important hearing here in the House. The fact that you took the time to come here to make sure that your voice is heard, and the fact that I know it is not a difficult, or it is a very difficult thing to do. It's not easy to come to Washington to make sure this is happening, particularly given all that you have going on back home. But as you speak up, what you are telling is a story not just about you. It's about everybody who's back home right now.
Yes.
It is all of those people who could not make the trip to Washington.
Yes.
About all those people, though, that have to live every day not knowing whether or not their water is safe. Who have to live on bottled water, which is simply unacceptable to be living on bottled water. You can't bathe, it's difficult to cook, and no one in this country should have to be able to do
Right,
that.
absolutely.
Now, I will tell you in the Senate, I'm working with my colleague, Senator Debbie Stabenow. Together, we're working to pass some legislation to help the people of Flint to make sure we have additional resources. But let me say before I go on with that, first and foremost, this is a state of Michigan responsibility. Governor Snyder needs to step up and put money in. This whole issue is about simple concepts. As I said, people should have clean drinking water. And when you look at state responsibility, it's very simple as well. If you break it, you have to fix it. That is what this is about. We need to have more resources, and resources to pull up the pipes. We can't wait any longer. You've got to get rid of the lead service lines as soon as possible. And we also need to have a future fund to understand that when all of these cameras are gone, when the lights are gone shining on Flint, we'll still have an issue. We still need to make sure we're standing with the citizens of Flint and the children of Flint who are around it. We've got to be putting money in the seniors. We've got to be putting money in that's going to be there for decades. And we have to demand that. We have to demand that of our governor as well. But on the other hand, the federal government, we want to be helpful as well. That's why we are working in the Senate now to put in legislation that will provide money for a safe drinking water fund, a $100 million grant that can be used to start replacing those pipes. It'll also create a loan fund for up to $700 million all across the country. We know as catastrophic as it is for Flint, we know other communities will also be facing some significant challenges in the future. We want to use this example to help other people who may be in a similar place. We also have $50 million going into a number of public health programs that are grants that our local communities can access for lead abatement programs from the Centers for Disease Control in order to deal with the impact of lead on the body. We also have a forgiveness for a loan fund for the city of Flint to forgive $22 million of debt that went into a system now that isn't working. That debt should be forgiven, so you have resources then to rebuild a new water system.
Yes.
We have built a broad coalition, and we have bipartisan support right now. But I just want to say, and I'm going to ask you to make your voice heard one more time before you leave here today, is that right now this legislation is ready to go. I'm confident if it got to the floor of the U.S. Senate, we would pass it. But because of Senate rules, we have one person standing in the way. One person. Amy. One person. His name is Senator Lee from Utah.
Kevin Lee.
Who has a hold on this and is holding up this going forward. Now, from the state of Utah. So if you can reach out and just mention that you are from Flint. He has said that we are acting too quickly. We're not.
Are you kidding me?
18 months.
2 years?
More money.
Talk to the people of the city of Flint that we are not acting.
Where's
too
this
quickly.
guy at? I'll talk
He
to
doesn't
him.
think we need any more money.
So we have to make sure
Because
that
of all
your
the
voice
donations.
is heard. Now, he's holding
We
that
don't know
up.
where that's at.
My view with this gentleman is that if he wants to vote no on the bill, we all have the right to vote yes or no. He can write no, vote no. But give the chance to the other 99 senators. All we're asking for is to vote. The process does not work if we don't get to vote. It is as American as it can be. We just said put it on the floor, we'll be able to pass it. And once we pass it in the Senate, it'll come over here to the House and our great delegation here, your own Congressman, Dan Kildee, who will take it up and will be doing a great job. My speaker will be doing a great job as well, but we have to do this together. We've got to make sure that everybody hears your voices, hears your stories. I heard stories this morning of folks who are losing their hair as a result of this.
Rashes.
Folks who
Right
brought
there.
samples of
Right
water,
there.
water bottles of water. water that are discolored. It is simply unacceptable.
Yes.
But if we don't hang together, we're not going to be able to solve this. It's everybody from Washington to everybody in this room, and to hold our state legislators accountable, hold the governor accountable.
Yes.
But I'll let you know that my colleague, Senator Stabenow, and I are going to be doing everything we can to pass that, hopefully as soon as we can. And then we'll send it to the House, and then we've got some great partners here, some great champions for the people. And the gentleman who's going to follow me right now has been that great example of someone who has fought his entire life. He is the Dean of the House of Representatives. He is a mentor to me and a true leader who has been a leader of civil rights issues since he was a little boy. And that's none other than Congressman John Conyers.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Give Senator Gary Peters another round of applause. I knew him when he was only a congressman, and he was a great congressman then. But now we need him more than ever in the Senate to help lead us through this terrible health situation, crisis that we face.
Yes.
You know, there ought to be a law against putting lead in the water.
Yes.
There ought to be a law, and as a matter of fact, there is. Because what we're going to do is make it illegal for not only lead, but any other contaminants to be in the water as well. And so I've been up to Flint several times and will continue to be going up there. But Flint is only emblematic of other places in the country. What I'm afraid of, and the congressman from Flint has just walked in the room,
Dan Kildee.
Dan Kildee,
Yes.
a round of applause. What I'm worried about is that there are other places that we've got to worry about just as well. And while we're at it, we ought to take out all the other contaminants that we find.
Yes. Rick
All lives matter.
Take out Snyder.
Rick Snyder.
But he ain't with it. Brothers and sisters, this is not just a Flint problem, it's a national.
It's national.
It is.
And we are here in the capital of the greatest country in the world. And what I want to do is make sure that we stop other places like this
Yes.
from having to go through this terrible experience.
Yes.
Lives have been lost. Children, development has been compromised.
Yes.
And we know that we can do better than that.
Yes.
So, look, it's with great pleasure and a total privilege for me to introduce to you, and you all know who he is, you know the jobs he did, not only in water, but on other issues, jobs, justice, and peace, the great senator from Michigan, Dan Kildee.
Yes.
I'll be quick because I want to thank Mr. Conyers, who is the Dean of the House, the most senior member of the House, and that tells you he carries a lot of weight around here, and his voice really matters on this, and I want to thank him. Along with Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow and Congresswoman Lawrence, Congresswoman Dingell, Congressman Levin, they've all been pitching in, and we brought reinforcements to Flint. Let me just say a couple things really quick. First, I want to speak to the people from Flint. You made this issue a national issue. No politician, nobody else.
I didn't hear you.
If there are heroes in this story, and I believe there are, it's the people of Flint who knew something was wrong and would not be quieted, would not take these answers that they continue to get from people in authority who told them to just relax.
ACLU.
That's what you're told.
ACLU.
And then I watched the hearing. And I find it almost inconceivable that in the 21st century, in the age of instantaneous communication, that the senior people, the absolute top people around the governor, his chief of staff, his chief legal advisor, his urban policy advisor, the people to whom he turns not just every day, but many, many times every day, would not just happen to mention to him in passing that there's a significant problem with lead in the water in Flint. Okay, one of two things. Either we believe that, and he's the most incompetent CEO ever elected to any office ever, or he's not telling us the whole truth.
He's not telling
Last point I'll make. Taking responsibility, we've heard a lot about taking responsibility.
Yes.
I've heard some of our Republican colleagues during the hearing refer to the governor as if he has taken responsibility. So here's how I was raised, and you tell me if this is how you were raised. I was raised that when you do something wrong,
Yes.
the first thing you do is apologize.
Yes.
First thing you do is say, I'm sorry. Okay, so he did that. Check that box. But if you have it in your power, this is how I was raised by my mom and dad. If you have it in your power, you make it right. You fix it.
Fix
You
it.
fix it. And so what we've seen so far, what have we seen from the governor? He talks about his big plan. And I was there. I was sitting with my people, Flint, Michigan, while he was testifying, and he was telling everybody how they had gotten a refund on their water bill.
Up to 65% for 3 years, April recurring on your bill.
But they put it back on there this month.
Yeah.
Every time.
So I don't want to hear about a percentage of a fraction of a part of the bill. Here's the thing. Governor Snyder, you made the mistake. You paid for it. I will say this.
Emergency
You
management.
are American citizens as well.
No,
And
we
so the
are.
federal government ought to be a part of the solution, and we have offered that. Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow have done something that almost inconceivable. They got us right to the point where we're close to being able to have some pretty substantial resources. And we're going to keep pushing on that. We are. We're thanking you for that. I'm of Flint. I grew up in Flint. I raised my family in Flint. But the way our Michigan delegation in the Senate and the House have stood up for the people of Flint, it makes me proud. I just want to say that because they have really come to our aid. I'm going to have to move on to an interview, but I do want to say one of the folks I've worked with for a very long time, and one of my constituents, has been a champion for people, for working people, fighting for justice for as long as I've known her. She's a real champion. That's Bishop Bernadette.